So just to make it clear exactly how you do this with animating two doors, as you can see here, I've got just a cube on the floor, walls on the left and right, and you can see I've actually got two doors here. If I move that one, you can see, there we go, we've actually got two doors there in the wall. So what we're going to do in order to animate these, I'm just going to quickly get rid of some of these components out of here, just so you can see exactly what is involved. So we have our two doors. I'm going to click on that left door, as I've called it in my hierarchy, door 1, and in our assets section, I'm going to just go in and I'm going to create an animator controller, and I'm going to call that door 1, just in order to make it clear. So with that animator controller, we'll start off, click on door 1, and I'm actually going to drag that over into our components section. So it's already added that animator on there. Now what I'm going to do is actually record that animation to put in there. So I click on animation here. I've added it to my project area, which you can do by clicking on this drop down menu here, go to add tab and select animation, or if you want to open it in a floating window, you can go up to window and select animation here. So I'm going to go to my animation tab, and as it says, to begin animating door 1, create an animation clip. So click create. I'm going to call it door 1, might call it door 1 animation, just to make it clear, and then save that. We're going to click add property, drop down next to transform, the plus next to position, so telling us that we're going to position. We're working on a position, that's what we're going to change. So we start at closed. We're going to take 1 second for our door to open, so I'm just going to move that red line just by clicking in the timeline up here, and then I'm going to position that door so that it is completely open and it's actually essentially hidden in the white wall. So that is our point here, and then I'm going to bring it across. I want that door to linger open for enough time that our character is going to be able to get through it, so I'm going to leave that for 3 seconds. So being that it's finished opening at 1, I'm then going to bring the next one up to 4. Click on the keyframes here to add new keyframes. We keep it in that same position. And I want to add another keyframe to bring it back to being closed, but the best thing is checking on that original position. So going back to our 0 point and seeing that our position on our x-axis was -10.3. So if I then bring this up, I want to take 1 second for our door then to close. So if I go up to 5 seconds, I'm going to add a new keyframe, and so that I know that I'm getting it perfectly right, I'm going to say -10.3. So I know then that my door is going to that exact same position. So I'm going to click off record. You know it's recording because our play, pause and skip are red. Click off record. So we've actually got that animation. Now I'm going to go back to the project, and you'll see that door 1 animation that we just created is located here. So I am actually going to drag that over, not that I need to, it hasn't actually added it anywhere. The next thing that I am going to do is I'm going to add that trigger that we need to actually have that door open. So click on add component, physics, I want a sphere collider in this case. I'm going to make it a bit bigger to start off with, turning up the radius to 1. And the other thing is I actually want that sphere collider to be centered across both doors. So in this case, I'm going to make it 0.5. It looks fairly centered on there, so meaning that as we approach the doors, even if we approach it from the right, it's still going to open that left-hand door. I'm just going to click is trigger, just to make sure that we don't make it that invisible force field. And the next thing that I'm going to do is go window and go to animator, and it's going to bring up these parameters. I've actually already got something in place. I'm just going to delete this one just so we can make it clear. So in this animator section, I'm just going to right click and create an empty state, and I'm going to just click that empty state, and I'm going to rename that closed, and that way I know that that is, got to press enter at the end of it, but I know that when I press close that that's the state in terms of it being closed, and then this is our animation. Right click on closed, set as layer default state, and change to orange. Then we're going to right click, make transition, and take that transition up to our animation. Right click on our animation and take it back to our closed state, so that we have these two arrows here, one taking it up and then taking it back. The next thing I want you to do, you should probably will be on default base layer, but if we change it to parameters and we click plus and bool, and I want you to name your bool door cycle with a capital D, capital C, and no space in between. And the reason why it has to be precise like that is that's how it's written in the script. So if you don't write it exactly how it's written in the script, it's actually not going to appear, or it won't work properly. So once I click off that, if I go back to this arrow, the first one we created, the one going up from closed to door animation, go down to this conditions box and just press the plus, and it actually gives us already exactly what we want. Door cycle and true. Then we're going to go to the other one, going back down to closed. We're just going to drop down on these settings, change our exit time to 1, change our transition duration to 0. If we go back now to our scene and we press play, what you'll see as I approach nope, hasn't worked. We go back, let's have a look at what key component that we left out there. The reason why it didn't work, even though we've added all those animations in, is we didn't drag in that script. So this one here, the C# script called doors, we want to drag that in. So this is what gives us the exact, I guess, tells our doors exactly what they need to do, or tells our game exactly what it needs to do. So we drag it on here. We've got our doors script. Do not check this door cycle component. So if I press play now, as you see, as I walk up to it, our left door opens, stays open for 3 seconds. I didn't get to it quickly enough for it to stay open. So if you find that's happening, you either need to make your radius smaller, make the radius smaller, or you need to make your door linger longer. So obviously if you're making your radius smaller, it means that as people are coming up to it, it will actually open a little bit later than what it currently is, or you make your door stay open longer so that people can actually get to it, get through that door in time. So we're going to do all the exact same process now to door 2. So if we click on door 2, again what we need to do is right click, create, go animate a controller, and we're going to call this one door 2 as we call the other one door 1. Go back to door 2 in our hierarchy, and we're going to drag door 2 across. And just so we don't forget to do it, let's drag over our script, just so we don't forget again in order to do it. So we've created our animator, put in our script for our doors. So now we need to go on to our animation, and as you can see now it says to begin animating door 2, create an animation script. So we're going to create, and we're going to call this door 2 animation and save it. Add property, remembering it automatically starts recording. Transform, and the plus next to position. So again it goes to that default setting of 1 second. So after that 1 second, again, we're going to want to make sure our door goes, as we did with the other one, completely inside our white wall. We're going to let it linger for 3 seconds. So we're going to go down to 4 seconds, add another keyframe. Just going to go quickly back and check that here. So our position for our closed door was 9.1. So then at 5 seconds, we're going to add another keyframe and change that position to 9.1. So you can actually see, if I turn off record and I press play, it'll show that door animation, and it'll actually play it just on a loop while we're looking at it. Going back to our project, so we've worked our door animations now. We've got both of our doors animated. We need to add our, just one moment because that is still recording, so it's now turned off. Go back to our project. We need to add our sphere collider, making sure we select trigger. I'm going to change that radius to 1 again, and this time I'm making the center negative 0.5, which means that our two spheres, you'll see if I select door 1 and door 2, door 1, door 2, those spheres essentially completely overlap, which makes it much easier for us in terms of people approaching our doors and having both of them open. We will now go down to, or bring up here, actually we can click on it here, our animator for door 2. So bringing across all our components, adding our empty state, calling it, just to make it clear, I'm just going to call it door 2 closed. So bring up door 2 animation, right click on door 2 closed, set as layer default state, right click on it again, make transition up to door 2 animation, right click on door 2 animation, make transition, bring it back to door 2 closed, making sure we're clicked on our parameters, clicking plus, bool, and again door cycle as our bool, and then clicking our up, plus, in the conditions, remembering it does go automatically to the settings we want. Going down, dropping down on settings, changing our exit time to 1, and our transition duration to 0. And so we then can go back to our scene, just hovering over door 2, checking that we have everything. We have our animator, we have our script, we have our sphere collider. Our sphere collider is on trigger. And if I press play now, you will notice that as I approach the door, both of our doors are actually opening. And we are much more, again, our timing isn't great, but we are much more easily able to actually get through those doors. So in order to change that, I'll just bring those radii down to 0.75 on both of them. So that was door 2, and then on door 1, 0.75. And just to, I won't play with the animation now because you know, it's quite straightforward how to do it, but just shrunk those colliders, meaning that we'll be closer to the door when they open, giving us that more time to get through. So now, as we see, doors open, giving us that time. Oh, still not giving us that time. But even if I made it that our doors are 0.3 or 0.5, and I could actually even drop our y-axis a little bit just to make that, actually no I won't, I'll leave our y-axis at 0. So with that radius at 0.5, and same with changing it here on door 2, making sure you do change it, because if we have radius at different points, what's going to happen is your doors aren't going to open in sync with one another. So you need to make sure your sphere colliders are on top of each other, and also that they're that they are the same size, because otherwise you're going to have door 1 open and then door 2 open a split second or a few seconds later. So if we press play now, I'm going to come up to them. Of course, you could always speed up your person as well. And there we go, that time it really took us going straight up to those doors in order for it to, in order for them to work. So if I back right up now, you can see those doors are closed. Again, as I walk up, they open. So that is exactly how you add animation to two doors to get them to open at once.